Welcome to Heroes and It's your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes and sci-fi, action, and all that good stuff. We're talking from Star Wars and Star Trek, James Bond, The Fast and Furious. We review the theatrical films you care about most and the streaming delights that go along with them. Yes, we're just going to wing it today because we are so happy about Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, The Tragedy. I guess it's chapter 14. They're giving each one a chapter. This is a very special episode for longtime fans. They may have fanboyed it up, but I think they did it right. We'll talk about that here in a second. But let me introduce the crew. Who's with me? Who's with me talking about Mandalorian? Well, we start off with Christopher Slattery. He is the Slat Man. Are you ready to do this, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Gift for gab, just as boy has.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. All right.
You caught me off guard there.
Also joining us is podcasting Rockstar and international cosplay queen, Vanessa Thompson. How you doing, sweet?
He likes to do that, Chris.
Do I?
Yeah.
Throw curveballs?
No, doing good. How appropriate that we all wore black tonight.
For the tragedy.
Yes.
Oh, such a tragedy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
This show would not be the show without award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
Whoa. Here's the real question. How old is that toy?
No comment.
Well, I was going to be impressed if it was one of the original ones.
It is one of the, and I have my Boba Fett with the
You found it.
rocket pack that you can't shoot.
You found it.
So this is my original. This is the reason it's missing parts, and the stickers are coming off because I played with these. And like some Star Wars geeks, like I'm gonna keep mine in the box. No, I played with this sucker, and I had lots of fun playing with him. And somewhere I have Hanso and Carbonite, but
awesome.
Yeah, so I have all my toys. I mean, I have I'm gonna start bringing out all my toys, my Millennium Falcon and all these things. But I thought this was very appropriate. I had to dig through my case of toys to find it because after seeing that sucker, I was a happy little boy.
Happy little boy. I would imagine. I want to know how many people cheered during this episode. Raise your hands.
I cried.
You cried. Oh my gosh. All right.
Tears of joy and then tears of sadness.
Yes. All right. Let's do the card thing. This is what we do. All right. The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 6, Chapter 14, The Tragedy. Disney Plus, December 4th, 2020. Directed by Robert Rodriguez. Written by Jon Favreau. Cast includes Pedro Pascal, Tamura Morrison, Ming-Na Wen, Giancarlo Esposito, and Gina Carino. I'm going to get those names mixed up one day. The Mandalorian, the child, traveled to an ancient site. And there's a big clue over there to the right about who shows up. We will be spoiling everything tonight. We are diving into full spoilers. It's been a couple days since the show's been out. Everybody's talked about it. We're just going to give our reaction. What did we think of a discussion about it? We're going to actually add a new segment in here today called Theories. I think it's time that we kind of generate our theories about the last two episodes and where it's going to go from there. And then, of course, we do our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene at the end. But first things first, we have to do our initial reactions. What did we think watching this episode for the first time and all the wonderful, wonderful surprises? Let's start off with Slapman.
It was great.
All right, let's go over to Vanessa.
It was awesome. It was great to see Boba again. It was great to see I don't remember her name from
Fennec.
Yeah, Fennec. Yeah, it was great to see her again, and we finally got some closure as to the stinger from season 1.
Yes.
And it was awesome, man. The dark troopers were freaking intimidating and great and awesome and terrible at the same time. And I absolutely, what was that?
Terrible at the same time.
Yeah, terrible for their actions.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yes.
And man, the child is great, and I thought it was so cute when the child was sitting there and was yeah, exactly, like, oh yeah. And can we all pour one out for the Razor Crest?
Oh no, yes.
And his rifle.
Yeah, he can buy another rifle.
Yeah, but that one is very particular. But yeah, the Razor Crest. I'm gonna miss that ship.
Oh man, I didn't think they would do that. That was kind of.
I know. No coming back.
But something did survive. We'll talk about that. All right, Vanessa, what did you think of this? Okay, so as you know, you're out of us. You're probably you're a Star Wars fan, but you know you haven't seen like every corner. What did you think? Yeah. What did you think of this episode? I mean, we have a huge character finally making his way back in costume. Big deal.
Wow. This whole episode is just a big wow episode with everything that happens and that's revealed and what we finally get to see, what people have been waiting decades to see on screen. We finally get to see, and it's like, to me, it was even better than I could have, anticipated. And really, kudos to Robert Rodriguez for directing the hell out of this episode. Some of these shots were amazing, and the tone that he's setting with the different vignetting and stuff that he's doing just is really great. And just there's shots in particular that stand out in my mind that you could just like freeze frame and poster the shots. They're so beautiful. And I just watched how they film this on that, that screen. They have that screen in the back, and I couldn't imagine what it would be like as an actor to be immersed in a world like that. What it would feel like compared to like green screen, and it feels like the performances feel so much more authentic, Anyways, rambling on. I liked it a lot.
Yes, it's a great episode. All right, Christopher. This has got to be a very special episode for you because, I know you and I have talked a lot over the years about Boba Fett because he, in the movies, he's kind of, he got a big, he has a cult following, but he hasn't really had, the most valuable screen time. I want to know your first reaction, of course, but I also want to know, did this make up for any lack of Boba Fett in the first trilogy?
Well, first I want to address what Vanessa was talking about. The guy who from Kim's Convenience, who played like one of the rebel pilots, he talked about when he got into the ship and they had that screen. He said he actually got a little bit vertigo because it felt like he was actually flying. It felt like he was in that universe, and so I can only imagine them filming this. It's like being a kid in a candy store,
right? Yeah, so cool.
Yeah, so as a lifelong Star Wars fan that's been watching these films ever since I was a little kid when they first came out. I think I was 6 when the first one came out. To see Boba Fett, who I've always been an Empire fan. So I've always been for the bad guys. My brother had like the good guy characters, and I always had the bad guy characters. I had the Darth Vader. I had the Darth Vader toothbrush. I had Darth Vader everything. And I loved Boba Fett. In fact, I think I was so upset that Darth Vader died in Return of the Jedi that in my mind, I'd written this story where Boba Fett escaped the Sarlacc pit and done some kind of Sith ceremony to bring Darth Vader back. So yeah, Boba Fett, and I think he always got sort of a bad rap because he's been such an iconic character. But if you look at a lot of his things, he ended up just being almost comedic relief, where he gets sideswiped by blind Han into the Sarlacc pit, and that didn't really do anything. And he's always been this badass character. We never really got to see a lot of his badassery. Almost in the same way that Rogue One, we got to see the full-on live-action badass Vader and during his heyday. And in this one, you actually get to see the badass actions of Boba Fett, outside of his outfit, and then when he puts on the majority of that armor, it's weird how this show has made me like applaud in my living room. I don't live with anybody. I live by myself, other than my Babu freak, who's not a real thing, even though I probably treat him like a real thing because I don't have a roommate. But it's like I was literally cheering, when that slave won. When you heard that sound, I was like, what is that sound? And you see the slaver one flying by. I was cheering in my living room. I was so happy. And then when he's doing the badass things, using like the weapon, that's the reason those Tusken Raiders are so badass, because they got those heavy ass weapons. But when you see him in that full armor, well, it's not really full armor because it's not really covering the crotch area. But when he's got when he's got the Boba Fett outfit on, and he's doing every kind of badass move you could think. You could actually get to see his knee rockets, which are in canon, but he's never used them. If you go, you see them in the Star Wars illustration of what all these different things did, and they said he has rockets in his knees. But did we ever see that? No. And sure, we got to see like the little backpack shoot the little rocket previously in this season, but we got to see it full on him using it. And like when he uses his blasters to knock that one stormtrooper, and and he's like freaking badass gunslinger. That's the Boba Fett that we deserved. And that's what this series bringing. It's bringing the heart, but it's also bringing the badassery. And this is,
that's the on the box right there. It's not just bringing the heart, but it's also bringing the badass.
Exactly. I saw a meme today where they have you ever seen the Steven Spielberg's Peter Pan movie? What's the name of that? Not is it Pan? Hook.
Yeah.
And there's that scene where the Lost Boys, they go up to Robin Williams.
Oh yeah.
And they do that. And it's like, oh, there's the Star Wars I was looking for. And that's just what this series has done. It's really taken all the great elements that make Star Wars what it is. And it's hard to believe they've done that in a TV show, to where these episodes are continually overshadowing what the movies have done. They've really shown that there's a better way to tell stories than trying to shoehorn this in or try to do this or that. And I was a little. In this episode, you have an amalgamation of all the movies. You have everything from, him mentioning Jango Fett, his dad. You have stuff from the prequels. You have quotes from, the prequel and the original trilogy that Boba Fett says. Because there's one part where he's talking about like, I'm just a man traveling the galaxy or whatever, which is a reference from the prequels. And then he's like my father before me, which is what Luke says, and I think Return of the Jedi. So I don't know. I'm continuously blown away. I keep worried that my expectations are getting too high, or they're not going to really be able to top that. And I think Rodriguez, some people give him crap because he does these smaller budget things, but he turns them out and they make money because he doesn't, he's not like, he doesn't necessarily have to, like when he's making like kids films and stuff like Spy Kids or something, but you don't necessarily have to have a high budget or high budget production value. But this one, when you have all these you have him as a director and you have all these people that are supporting him, how he can sort of pull off. And I think it's one of the best action oriented. It seems like every episode, now this is the best one.
The bar keeps
best
right.
one yet. Yeah, so I don't know. It's like there's even a reference to the Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's and it we still get the cutesy Yoda stuff. We also get to see Yoda playing with stormtroopers like they're action figures, which I find to be hilarious.
Yeah, we get to see. Yeah, Grogu just ass, right?
So yeah, I don't know. I can't say enough good things about it. I was like smiling from ear to ear, and literally when Boba Fett showed up in his armor, I was cheering and dancing in my living room. I'm glad my shutters are closed. They don't see what the freak this Eddie is doing in his living room, jumping in front of a TV when there's a guy dressed in weird armor.
Yeah, the moment I saw that, it just hit me like a wall, and I looked over at Josh, and I'm like, fanboys around the world are losing their shit right now. Like, that is a moment that is just smacking you in the face.
That's when you need Obi-Wan showing up. I can hear millions of fanboys cheering in their living room.
Yes. Yeah, I had a very similar reaction to all that. This was a fantastic episode. I really, we had talked even last week. We were talking like we didn't think they were going to make it to this planet until the very last episode, that this would be the finale. But here we are, and now it's a rescue mission because of the tragedy. But the having Boba Fett fight alongside the Mandalorian is just the best thing ever to see, and the honor that comes along with it, the backstory. He pulls up his little arm thing and says, here, look, and you find out that Jango Fett was a foundling as well, and legitimizes a lot of all this kind of naysaying that's happened to this character throughout the past 30-40 years. And it's just and it was shot so well. I mean, when we finally get to see him, when he stands up behind that stormtrooper and we see him in full view, it's just shot in such a great way that just gives him this majesty, this like, it's this moment. They realize it's a moment, right? They knew they had to do it. This initial shot of him in armor, justice. They had to do it, and they did. I was worried. I guess we're all worried, right? We're all worried. Like, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to do this? Are they even going to do it? And they sure did. And he, even before that, when he was just having, whether they're Jaffe sticks, is that right?
I think that's the name of it.
Yeah, and he's bapping those helmets and they're like shattering. We were talking in season 1 like how violent sometimes it was, and man, this one was pretty violent for a Disney Plus TV show.
You see that one head is.
Well, they may not show a lot of blood, right? But they do not shy away from showing you the violence that's happening, and that's almost a little bit more disturbing.
Yeah. He gets another shot off with the rocket, and that's really cool too. There's a lot of things going on here that are wonderful. Dinner's ready. And also, Grogu is fantastic in this. He does his. We get to see the rock that he sits on, and he fires up, and then Mando tries to break through, and you just get this. There's all this kind of connection going on, and there's I don't know. There's just so much to love about this episode, and it pretty much is handled right there in that one spot, this one location. I mean, the location is a bit wide because it's outdoor location, but it's basically there, except maybe the finale when they're up on the ship, right? And I don't know. I absolutely did love this episode. This is the episode I was looking for once they started saying, I think those boots are are Boba Fett's boots, right? Because they got spurs, and we're like, were they? I mean, are they going to do that? And we were right all along. That's what they were. And
they also made Fennec more badass too, because she's like, there's one part where she like jumps, spins, and shoots while she's in midair. I was like, that's a badass.
Yep. And she has one of my favorite scenes of the series so far. Yes. And Boba Fett's a true action star when he can go and shoot somebody without looking.
I know.
That is a trademark of a true badassery.
And that's something that you see repeatedly in Robert Rodriguez films.
Yeah, that's true.
He studies the badass.
And he does it in the comics too. I mean, there's a lot of comic lore that kind of slides into here as well. But I don't know. There's so much to love about this. So what do you think, Slat, man? I mean, are you a Boba Fett fan as much as Chris and I are?
I don't think it's possible to be as much of a Boba Fett fan as Christopher G. Moore.
That might be true. That might be true.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea.
But no, I like the character, but I kind of fell into the category of, well, I mean, he didn't really do much except for show up and basically become a courier. At least in the original trilogy. But I did like the character. I like the concept of the character a lot, and I've loved what I've seen in some of the Legends comics and stuff. But I think this episode really does the character justice. It really shows why. Well, one thing is that it shows why Jango was picked to be the basis for the clones, because Boba is a perfect copy of Jango, just without the aging gene, and Boba's freaking awesome. So, and but he has probably my favorite line in the entire episode when he shoots the rocket and Mando's like, "Hey, nice shot," and he's like, "I was aiming for the other one." Which I swear there's like a story or something in Legends where Boba has issues with his tracker, like hit the tracker on his helmet, and it causes his rockets to miss. Does that sound familiar?
It could very well be. Yeah. I do think we need to talk about one more thing before we get into theories, and that is, of course, the Dark Troopers, right? Is that what they're called? Dark Troopers? Yep. Vanessa, what do you think of that? They're a little, Favreau on this. They felt very Iron Man. Just saying. But yes. What do you think? What do you think of them?
They had their Iron Man moment, but I thought the design was awesome. I've never seen any of the artwork like from the cartoons, if it's shown in there from anything else, but they're really intimidating, right? And that moment where they land and Grogu wakes up and sees them, it's just that's such a terrifying moment, right? Because they instill that terror when you see them. They're scary. Those are scary guys.
Now, their eyes are glowing red. Mm-hmm. Christopher or Slatman, do either of you know the lore about why they're red? Is because I heard something about
they're robots, just like the droids.
Well, they came from a video game initially.
Mm-hmm. They came from the Dark Force.
Is there no Sith in them? There's no like Jedi, anti-Jedi thing going
on?
I
think. Well, the thing is, those things were non-canon, so they sort of made them their own thing. Although I think, from what I've read and watched, they talked about there's different inferences, different possibilities where some of them were like given like Sith powers, which I don't know how you give that, or they were just like biologically engineered people with Sith powers, and the other ones were just pure robots. But I think these are just they're more badass versions. They're actually robots that work instead of Roger.
They're for battle droids.
Yeah, they're more battle droids than anything else. So it's but they're more badass. So they're definitely almost like the Death Troopers that were the more stormtroopers that could aim. And we're more badass and don't actually get shot so easily.
Aren't they like nearly indestructible too?
What, the Dark Troopers?
Yeah.
I think they're supposed to be made to where they're hard to kill. I think there's like a specific weakness on them or something if they go through via the video game stuff. But yeah, I don't know in this universe if how easy they can be stopped. So I guess we'll find out soon.
But with a lightsaber, it would be pretty easy. But without a lightsaber, if you just shoot blaster bolts at them, I'm sure it goes ping, ping.
Yes.
So one last thing before we go to theories. Why the F didn't Mando call his like
jetpack?
His jetpack. Why?
Oh, there's a lot of people asking that.
Doesn't he have like a button or something that calls it to him?
I think he was just. I think my theory is he was just in the moment. He didn't think about it. He was trying to rush. Because because he was already sort of close initially when he went to Baby Yoda initially, but I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it was a matter of time. They didn't have enough time. No. Okay. So I guess we should wrap this up with Moff Gideon now has Baby Yoda, Grogu. They're flying away, and Mando is teamed up with Boba Fett and what was her character's name again?
Fennec.
Yeah. And then we also get to see Cara Dune. You happy about that, Vanessa? All right.
Yes.
And we get the idea that he's assembling a team. He's going after some things, and there is a lot of stuff. And when you look at that screen, when you see all those prisoners go by, there's a lot of stuff in there. Too much to talk about on this episode, perhaps even. But that's where we're left, and we have a lot to talk about, a lot to theorize. Where does it go from here? Obviously, we need to rescue the child, and we also got to figure out. Did he phoned home? Well, who picked up the line, right? So we got to figure that out. All right, Slapman, this was your idea, so I'm going to let you jump on for your theory of where we're heading from here.
So there's a lot of ways this can go. One of the most popular theories that I've seen so far is that when it finally comes time for the big showdown between, Mando's team versus Moff Gideon and his nearly endless supply of stormtroopers that I feel the Empire always has.
Yeah.
One thing that could definitely happen is that Mando just kind of gets his ass handed to him for the first time really in this series, and Moff Gideon gets away.
That's one thing. Do we think that's going to happen?
I don't really know where season 3 would go if they didn't do that, so I'm kind of leaning towards that's how it might end.
That does sound well. Another thing would be the training of Grogu, right? Where to go, who answers the call. But I think you're right. I think that obviously this is going to be a battle. The last episode is going to be the big battle. We're going to have our team together. So now who's going to be on the team? Right? Are we going to see some of the key characters we've met throughout these episodes? Are they going to return?
I hope Cobb Vanth comes back.
I hope so too.
We know Bill Burr's coming back.
Yeah.
That's kind of all but confirmed, right?
Yeah. Well, that's definitely what they're hinting toward, unless he's not there. Christopher, what about you? What do you think is going to happen with this predicament that Grogu is in?
I think we're going to go from Lone Wolf and Cub to full 7 Samurai is what's going to happen. I think he's going to get his group. I think we've mentioned this before. I think he's going to get Bo-Katan to say, hey, if you help me get Grogu, I'll help you get the Darksaber. And I think he's going to get a lot of these people we've seen probably in previous seasons to help, as they all sort of team up to steal Grogu back.
Ahsoka?
Possibly. I mean, it would be kind of for her to be such a big character. It would probably be in their best interest to include her, but I don't know. But I know they're going to focus on trying to do a new series, but yeah, and I think also, I think by the end we'll have. I think the Jedi will show up, and I think the next season will be involving training, and there'll be other issues they have to deal with as well. But I think that, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. Although I think it'd be funny if Grogu's Jedi trainer is actually a Force Ghost, and the Force Ghost travels with them like the A-Team, and.
That would be awesome.
So you have the Force Ghost and Grogu and
get Hayden to come in.
Yeah, and then like the end of season 3, would be uh 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 Mando would melt down his Beskar spear and make Mandalorian armor so Grogu is actually a Mandalorian Jedi.
Well,
He's the next Mandalorian Jedi.
He's a foundling, right?
He's a foundling. So I'm just saying, Jon Favreau, if you want me to help you write next season.
So are you saying that the Mandalorian is actually Grogu all along? It wasn't.
It could be any Mandalorian. Doesn't necessarily have to be Mando.
Yeah.
And then somebody will kill his dad, and then Grogu will have to seek revenge.
Revenge is not the Jedi way.
No,
well, then maybe he's a great Jedi. But we get to see him. We see him a little bit of force choking there, which is usually.
That's Scythian.
Well, but at the same time, but somebody did point out that Luke uses that on the Gamorrean guards in Return of the Jedi. So some Jedis that do use force choking.
Gray Jedi can usually use it without resorting to hate. So
that's what it is.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem would be when when Grogu gets to his terrible 200s.
Yeah. Oh my god. When those hormones kick in. Oh my god.
I hate to see teen Yoda because he's going to be so like moody. I don't. I'm not listening to you, Dad.
Oh my god, you're going full sitcom there.
But I was going to the Tavish power station to grab some power converter.
Yeah, he's going to turn into whiny Luke in season 3.
Vanessa,
but yeah, I don't know. There's so many possibilities, but I don't know. I think that there will be some kind of big battle by the end. I think to introduce the Death Watch people and not to use them again, I think would be kind of silly. So I think they'll have to be incorporated in there, and because she is seeking the Darksaber and Moff Gideon has a Darksaber, there's got to be some connection there. So I think it's going to end once they get Star Wars Bill Burr on their side. And so I don't know. I think it will be interesting to see all the different people they bring together, everybody having their own specific abilities, but yeah, I almost feel like a good ending to that would be having whatever Jedi is going to shows up in the either the end of it to help fight or in the stinger.
Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a stinger. Now, what would happen if they capture Mando but the rest of them rescue the child?
That could be interesting, but I don't know. It'd be kind of a weird show if Mando's just
a prisoner
the whole time.
That would also be very interesting because I don't see why the Empire wouldn't just like kill him on the spot.
Yeah, unless
they would lure the child.
Well, and unless they lure. Well, I think an interesting thing is if they pull a like Iron Man 3 to where they instead of killing him, they make him suffer by taking his armor away from him and then dropping him off without it, and then he's got to fight to get his armor back.
Wow. Vanessa, what about you? Where do you think this battle? How's this battle going to end? Are we going to see the battle?
I hope so. I hope we do see it. I don't know. I just keep something stood out to me when Moff Gideon said, whenever we come out of hyperspace, notify the doctor that we have the donor, whatever he called Grogu, right? Like, I feel like maybe they said that intentionally, that they might catch them somehow. I don't know. I feel like hyperspace might have something to do with this battle that's going on, or we might see something different, or they're going to be intercepted somewhere along the line before they can get that message out to the doctor. But I do think there's going to be like a big battle. I'm not sure Ahsoka will come back, but I'm feeling like Bo-Katan will definitely be there in the end. But really, I don't know, because I just don't know so much of this information outside of the movies that I'm kind of just like, anything could happen.
Well, we know anything is going to happen. I mean, here's something I was thinking is like, what happens, Slatman, if Mando beats Moff Gideon, and now he has the Darksaber. Doesn't he end up being the ruler of Mandalore?
By tradition, yeah, but he can give that up to whoever he wants.
Oh, okay. So he can't he can relinquish it then.
Yes.
Also, if in the next episode, if Bill Burr has some kind of information that connects Moff Gideon to Thrawn, that might be a reason for them to include Ahsoka in it.
Yeah. What if Thrawn? Are we going to see Thrawn? There's your next one. Are we going to see Thrawn by the?
It's either the Jedi or Thrawn that's going to be the stinger,
or
and
both.
the other one's going to be at the very end of the last episode.
I think that would be an amazing way to end it if we actually get to see Thrawn, even if it's for like a brief.
Even if it's just like
second.
a hollow message similar to the Emperor in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Just get like almost an animated version of them, so if they haven't cast them yet, it won't matter.
I'm in the Mace Windu camp, by the way.
Oh, okay.
I would love to see him come back.
All right, so let's go there.
Old man Windu.
Yeah.
I'm in the Mace Windu camp too, but I think there's other options as well. So I think we're all in agreement that the show is going to end with a Jedi of some sort showing up. Do we all agree on that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Mace Windu is your bet. You think it's Samuel L. Jackson? Actually,
I would like that a lot, and I think with his relationship with Favreau, it's highly likely that something like that could happen.
It's already there. All the pieces are there. Favreau, Disney, right?
So, but that's me just listening to other theories and seeing how they make it work. But I just think that would be really cool to see him again.
I mean, really, all they'd have to do is show a purple lightsaber, and that's cool. Really all we need. We would know
with the robotic hand.
Yeah. If they did, well, there's a certain droid that could show up and give us all thrills, right?
Well, I mean, there's rumor they're making a Mace Windu series too.
There's all kinds of rumors.
So I don't know what to believe anymore. But with him being so connected to Marvel and Star Wars and that kind of thing, that would be such a big thing for the series. But at the same time, I don't know, because there's a lot of people think that Ezra is going to show up.
Yeah, Ezra. And who was the other one you mentioned, Slatman? That could be
it could be Luke Skywalker, which is the obvious one, but it also could be Cal Kestis from Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay. What is Canon still? Not Canon. What's it? Is that his name? Kanan? Yeah.
Kanan?
Kanan? Yes.
Oh, you haven't watched enough of Rebels.
Okay. So
burn.
So I guess he's not an option. Spoiler.
He is not an option.
Oh no. I like him.
He's a great character. He's awesome.
I have been watching, and I've Slapman and I've been texting back and forth because all my favorite characters are showing up, including Grand Moff Tarkin. Oh, he's not a Grand Moff yet though in that episode. But oh my god, that was great, and it ends with a certain heavy breathing.
I just hope it's not Yaddle showing up at the end. I mean, I can understand the connection because she's of the same species, but I don't know. Every time I've seen Yaddle, she looks like she has a really bad wig on, and it looks really weird. I'm not sure we could really pull that off in live action, but
it's like,
I don't know.
Can somebody direct me to the set of Gremlins, please?
Maybe it'll be. Oh, okay. Here's the Outer Rim theory. Off the chart theory.
Yes.
Jedi Jar Jar Binks.
Well, that's one. I've heard that one actually. That Jar Jar is a Jedi. Could they pull that off though? I mean, would people poop their pants?
He shows up, but he's actually a Sith. So then he just
even better
makes them think, give the baby to me.
Me the bad guy now.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Thank you.
No, I think he's going to be
me here.
He's going to be older and wiser. I think if he shows up, he's going to be less goofball. I think if they do him in a more serious matter, that's the only way you can pull off. But I don't think he's going to show up. But I think he might show up next season because
as Boss Jar Jar.
Boss Jar.
Boss Jar Jar. Oh my
He's
god.
the friends.
The king of
I knew it was coming. Oh, man. Well, I mean, I say Luke Skywalker is on the tip of everybody's tongue, but I don't. Will they go there? I mean, don't we all kind of enjoy that this isn't so tied to the Skywalker?
I mean, the moment you brought in Jedi, it all automatically like
heads to Luke, right?
Heads to Luke, because this is when he's establishing his this is when he is establishing his Jedi Order. Like
Right.
in the stories, like if Ben Solo is born, he's like 1 year old at this point, so he's not old enough to be trained. So he's still establishing everything for what we saw in the sequel trilogy.
Well, I saw a thing today, and they went into like these people have no time on their hands. They're like going to like the actual chronological, years and stuff.
Yeah.
And at this point in his life, he's searching for like Jedi temples and stuff. He hasn't even created his Jedi
Academy or whatever
yet. He's searching, and so I think because we learned. I'm thinking that if he does show up, he's just going to show up like less Jedi show up. He's going to show up, use his force powers to show up there. Although if you go back and look at that episode, the one where Mando's coming down the hill and you see the thing up, you can see a figure there. As to what figure that is, I don't know. But I'm wondering if maybe he shows up to talk to Grogu, and maybe he'll guide the right Jedi for him. You know what I mean?
Well, so I want to jump on that because I'm thinking based on what I saw in Rebels when somebody else was at a temple, I think we're going to get Yoda because Yoda
like
talked.
The Force goes to Yoda.
The Force goes to Yoda because didn't that happen in Rebels? I mean, well, I know it happened in Rebels because
it happened a couple times in Rebels.
Right.
Well, Last
spoilers
Jedi for
episodes you haven't seen.
Well, I mean, Last Jedi, of course, as well. So I think I think that would be a nice connection if they did that.
It would be really nice for Yoda to sit there and come and keep Grogu from going to the dark side while he's being captured, or while he is captured,
or when Mando's in dire straits and he could turn to the dark side to save him, right? Because that's when it's going to happen, when he wants to save Mando, right? I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like that. And of course, people have talked about Hayden Christensen returning as Anakin in some fashion, but I think that's going to be for Ahsoka's show
or Obi-Wan's.
Could be for Obi-Wan's
or both.
Yeah.
Honestly, the connection that Anakin had with Obi-Wan and Ahsoka is big enough that he could show up in both as a Force ghost. Well, no, not in Obi-Wan because he's not dead yet.
He's not dead yet. Yeah.
I'm getting better.
He goes into a Force portal. His ghost goes into a Force portal, and then that's how he shows up, right?
I guess he could actually show up in some other fashion for Obi-Wan, couldn't he?
I mean, if he wants to be the man in the suit.
Yeah. I mean that. Yeah. I don't know.
And they made a suit for him when he was in Revenge of the Sith, right?
Yeah, it's incredibly short. Let's don't talk about that.
No.
Oh, get me off this stool. All right.
I think Ezra or Luke are the two best chances.
I think Ezra would be, but I think Ezra's going to be more for Ahsoka because she's going to be hunting for him.
I also think that, but I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
Well, see, and that's what I love about this show. We don't know where the heck it's going. I think majority of us thought, oh, they're not going to go to the temple until the end. They go right away, and I'm like, what? I was like, okay, now, and as someone that's always, because you think, when you watch certain films, you kind of know how it's going to play out. And this one, we really don't know. We really don't know. And I love that aspect of it. They're really taking us to the new territory
Yeah, I wasn't sure we were going to get Boba Fett.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't either. And so when he shows up, I'm like, so they keep throwing our expectations out the ship window, and so I just
cargo door.
Yeah, they keep freezing our expectations in carbonite, and we don't know where it's going to go. So
shooting it off to deep space.
Yes,
that with the space whales.
Babu Freak keeps working on our expectations and changing them.
Now here's a question for you. So this particular planet, Slatman, is the birthplace of the Jedi, and then they became the Jedi and the Sith, right? Out of this inner Civil War thing. Is this the right planet? Right?
I think I'm not 100% sure.
Well, I was watching it. I go down this rabbit hole now after every episode. I watch about every one of these sort of breakdown videos. And so I'm learning a whole lot more stuff that I never thought I would know. But yeah, supposedly, I think in the comics or whatever, that there was that one place where there was the break off to where that's when the Jedi and the Sith became. And I think they were called the Jedi or some weird phrasing of that. But yeah, that's when it split up into the two.
So why can't it be a Sith instead?
Well, it can, and I think the interesting thing is like Mando wouldn't know any different if it was a Sith.
The other problem is what Sith would it be?
It's not the Inquisitor.
Yeah, it's Palpatine still recovering.
It's not going to be Palpatine because
Snoke is like the only other person, because at this point, I think Palpatine is grooming Snoke to be grooming Snoke because clone
thing. I don't think it'd be Snoke. I think Snoke's wrapped up in what they're after. So I don't know. I mean,
would it be a character we don't know?
Well, that's what I'm leaning toward. I mean, why do we have to know who this character is?
I mean, you think there's other Jedi that we don't know about?
Probably.
Has to be.
I mean, that would be interesting to create something new. I mean, that's what I love about the show is like we're still working within the realm of things we know, but then there's all those characters we don't know. Yeah. And it would be kind of, although I guess everybody has expectations or wants for certain characters to show up.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My hope is that they don't actually go down the Luke route and it is Ezra or Cal, because it would be nice to get to see their stories keep going rather than, fall back onto the Skywalkers.
I think if he showed up as a minor thing, like a cameo, that would be okay. But I think if he becomes an integral part, if he trains him, if he becomes the person that trains him, that becomes too much part of the Luke story. And this show is sort of has tried to is a part of that world, but still is separate.
Yeah. I think the only way I would take it is if R2-D2 and Jar Jar Binks show up saying Luke Skywalker sent us to pick you up. Right?
Why Jar Jar?
Because
why are you on the Jar Jar?
I want to have the Jar. You guys have convinced me that Jar Jar must be a part of this now.
Not me.
I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying that
it could be.
The Mandalorian is the only Star Wars property I think could do that character justice. I would feel comfortable with bringing him back because, Jar Jar Binks basically was the scapegoat or was the target for a lot of people's hate about the prequels, to where, he was supposed to be a bigger part of Revenge of the Sith, and Lucas took him out because everybody was like backlash, which, there's so many elements of that character that wasn't really Lucas's fault, but people tried to put their own thoughts and feelings on that. And I think that the Clone Wars is probably the closest thing that sort of did that character justice to some degree, but to bring him back into live action and to do something cool with that, I could see them doing that. Now, as to see if they do that, I don't know, because that is kind of ground you're treading on, that you need to do it the right way. But I think if anybody could do it right, the Mandalorian could. As to how that'll be, maybe that's just I think that's probably for season 3, because they're building sets. I've seen some videos. They're building sets for Naboo. They're building
The ship.
ships for Naboo. So I guess we'll see how that pans out. But I don't think we'll have him show up this season.
Okay.
I think if anybody showed up, it would be, R2 or C3PO or something. But I don't know. There's been no rumors about them doing anything. But
I mean, there were also no rumors about about Baby Yoda before he showed up on screen.
Well, that's true, but there's been more knowledge of stuff coming out. Although supposedly the people that did the rumors about Ahsoka or something coming out, some of those people got dealt with. That spoiled stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be with Vanessa, and we're gonna wrap up here. My money's on Mace.
I would love to see Mace because I think he deserves more too as a character.
Yeah, he's a great character, had a great moral compass, and I think would be really interesting to see next season training Grogu. However that takes place, however they do that, if they go back and visit him from times, if he stays there, if he goes with them, whatever. I just think that would be a really fun kind of relationship to see play out.
Well, and on top of that, who's the person that hates Mace Windu the worst? Boba Fett, because he killed his father.
Oh,
so if Mace Windu comes into it, season 3 could go into it to where Boba Fett helps deliver Grogu back to Mando. But then he he finds out about Mace. And then it ends up being some big fight between Mace Windu and Boba Fett.
Oh, now
which
money on it now.
Which that's the only thing that I mean, with Boba Fett now being a part of it, that could be. You could see a really badass fight between these two.
That'd be cool.
Yes, I see that happening. Oh,
so I mean, I could see the jigsaw puzzles coming together for that. If they do that, I don't know, but I think if they bring Mace Windu into this,
I didn't even think of that.
Oh my gosh,
it could make for some really interesting stuff for season 3.
Oh my!
If they go there.
All right, with that tantalizing thought, let's wrap things up. What we're going to do is our final thoughts, our score 1 to 5, and our favorite scene.
Do we even need to rate it?
I know. This is 5s across the board. All right. But before we do, if you're enjoying this, and I hope you are, I hope you've lasted 50 minutes in this, hit the subscribe button down below, hit the like button and all that good stuff. Hit some comments. What do you think is going to happen? Which Jedi is going to show up? That's the question, right? I think Chris may have convinced half of Star Wars fans with that last theory.
All right. But, Favreau may not listen to me.
All right. We are running late. So let's keep it as quick as we can. We'll start off with Slatman. Your final thoughts, your score, favorite scene.
This episode is great. This episode has some very emotional moments, some great shots, awesome fight scenes, brutal action. And it really focuses on, it really pulls the nostalgia, pulls on your heartstrings with nostalgia without being too fanboy-y. I think it's the perfect way to do it, and the perfect way to give a character justice. I'm excited that Boba is going to be at least in the next couple episodes of Mandalorian, and man, again, just pour one out for the Razor Crest. Yes. And everything that Mando had except for his Beskar spear.
And his armor.
Well, and his armor, and supposedly his jetpack, assuming he didn't leave it on the ground.
Yeah, that's right. Rock somewhere.
Yeah, no. This episode is great, and it's setting up for what I think is going to be probably like the best 2 episodes of the season, and that's saying a lot.
It is. It really is.
And it sucks that every episode just keeps getting better and better, because I just want to go back and say, no, I really liked that episode, but now I'm like, but this one's great too. Gosh darn it.
I mean, isn't it great that we're enjoying the show so much? I mean, that's just, but
I mean, it took Disney how long to make great Star Wars content after they bought Lucasfilm? I'm not talking good like the sequel trilogy. I'm talking great. Like, I would argue that this might even be better than the original trilogy. It's getting there.
that's some bold words there. That's pretty bold.
It's getting there.
I'm enjoying it as much. I feel I will back that up in the respect that I'm having the same anticipation for it. Then the same love. I mean, it's that spectacle that you had originally. I don't think the rest of them have captured that as well as Mandalorian has.
Mm-hmm.
All right, score favorite scene.
5 out of 5. My favorite scene is one I've already talked about, actually, where Boba goes to shoot the ship and his targeting computer targets one of them. He fires the rocket and it hits the other one, and then the whole conversation of nice shot. I was aiming for the other one. I loved that, and it also just makes you wonder, how did Cobb Vanth aim so well?
Well, true. It wasn't quite as far, though. All right, Vanessa, what about you? Final thoughts, score, favorite scene.
I'll keep it short. Amazing episode. Amazing. My heart is torn apart. I can't wait to see what happens on Friday. I have to mention some favorite shots that I saw. Yeah. So one of my favorite shots is tied in with what Chris just said, and it's after he shoots one of the ships. It turns around and it's his face and the ship behind him here exploding into the other ship, and it's just this beautifully framed up shot that just looks so badass. Like, cool guys don't look at explosions. So good. And the other shot that really struck me is after they shackle Grogu and they pan out away from him, and it's just him after they've knocked him out, and he's got those shackles on. He's so tiny, and it's just panning away from this giant room that he's in all by himself, and it's so sad and scary, and you just want to make sure he's going to be saved in that moment. I just thought that was it said so much without saying anything in that moment. So yeah, it's Robert Rodriguez did a great job directing this and framing some of those shots. So definitely a 5, absolutely. And my favorite scene, I'm gonna take it, is the moment that Boba is on screen in his Mandalorian armor. Finally get to see him kicking ass like so hard in his Mandalorian armor, and all the things that he's doing, shooting his rockets and firing guns like a badass, like just so cool. And I'm glad I got it before Chris.
Yeah. All right, Chris, it's your turn, sir.
How dare you?
Go for it, buddy. Go for it.
Well, I think a character that can say what I feel about this would say, "Hey!" That was me watching this episode. I literally, I was like Shazam. I transformed. Instead of turning into a superhero, I turned into a little boy in my living room. As someone that's a lifelong fan of Star Wars, hasn't allowed it to taint me like some people. And by the way, if you're body shaming Boba Fett, shame on you.
Yeah,
shame on you.
He's rocking that.
All right, that's great.
This is ridiculous. All the badass stuff that he does in this episode, cracking freaking stormtrooper helmets, shooting people left and right, and that's the one thing you took away from it. Shame on you. You don't deserve to be a fan of anything. Go back to your little basement cave and shut the Denferic up, or whatever that curse word they use in Star Wars, Danferic or whatever that is. But anyway, I just have to get that off my chest, because that's the toxicity needs to quit. It's one thing if you don't. I think I had one person on my Facebook who did not hated this episode, which I understand. That's fine.
They hated it.
Yeah, I have no idea why. And they when I posted about my thing, like, oh, I hated this episode. Well, that's fine. It's okay for you to hate it, but
Cool. I bet you feel real good in those feelings.
but to body shame someone, you know, we could. I mean, it's ridiculous that people should. I mean, people body shaming people left and right. It's like just stop. Just enjoy it for what it is, and if you can't enjoy it, go watch something else that doesn't require your brain to work, because it's not working to begin with. So anyway, I love this episode. This is my favorite episode of the whole seasons, the whole show so far. As someone that's been a lifelong fan of the Empire and the bad guys and Boba Fett, and just to see him come back, and also if you notice, it almost seemed like his fighting style was very almost like I think it's called the Maori tribe in New Zealand, which Tamora Morrison is a part of, and they use like a stick. So it almost felt like he was using that, because there's even one part where he does like, you know, that little thing where the tongue comes out or whatever. It just seems so badass. It almost felt like that fighting style. I think it's called Tahi or something like that. I'm probably wrong, and I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. But yeah, I don't know. I just loved every ep. And when you talk about shots, Vanessa, there's so many great shots. One of my favorite shots is actually when Moff Gideon is on that bridge of the Star Cruiser, and you have this evil music that's playing, and you see them going. You see the lights and stuff of them going through. I got chills. It's like I want my living room to look like that, and so I could just stand at the front of it like a badass. But yeah, there's just so many great moments to cheer and laugh and to love and to hate. And, you know, you don't want anything to happen to Grogu. So it just makes you sort of like, oh, what's going to happen next? You know, how are they going to be able to save this little dude? So yeah, I mean, this gets a 5 Boba Fett rockets out of 5 Boba Fett rockets.
Yes!
And it's, you know, it's really hard to pick a favorite scene, because there's so many sort of really great moments in this. You know, I mean, the obvious thing would be when Boba Fett shows up, but I'll if I could, there's so many badass parts in this. I think also one of my favorite scenes is when Moff Gideon is going to Grogu on the ship.
Yes.
And, and Grogu's like, he's basically using his force powers, almost like if I had force powers and I was playing with my action figures as a kid. But yet he's like, and then Moff Gideon's just like, wait, he wants to see how this plays out. I mean, I just love that moment.
He smiles.
Yeah. He's almost enjoying, you know, this guy hurting his troopers. And then just his little speech and stuff with them, where, you know, he's like, "Oh, you're just so sleepy," and then and then almost like he puts a Christmas Story quote in there. It's like you might poke an eye out with that with a Darksaber. It's like, oh, you want to play with this?
Do you think he'll want to train him for the dark side, or like I know what they're trying to do with him, but I just wonder with him seeing him using his powers like that.
Well, I think it would seem like that, but also I think they also want to tap into his powers for, you know, using his blood and stuff, because they realize how powerful he is.
Yeah.
But they want him to be more powerful. So
so maybe they might bring a Sith into the picture to train him before the Jedi gets there, which would be kind of crazy. But yeah, this episode is amazing. This episode is a sugary dessert that just makes you full and just wants you to scream for more in my tummy. So yeah, it's I can't say enough good things about this. This whole pandemic, this is the happiness that we all deserve.
Yes.
You know what I mean? This makes up for the dumpster fire that this year has been, is to watch this episode and just to be happy for once and to see something that's just so cool, because we all can't go to really theaters right now, or you know, or scared to go to theaters, and to see this and all come together and be so excited about it. This is what the world should be about.
Yes. I'll keep mine very short. I'm going to give this 7 out of 5 to keep up the tradition from last week. It is wonderful. When they were kind of talking about a Boba Fett movie, some people were like, but I was like, oh man, I want a Boba Fett movie. I want Bionic Hunters. I want a Boba Fett movie. And this was better than any Boba Fett movie I could have imagined. This delivered. It delivered, and I'm just going to say, they can let Robert Rodriguez direct any Star Wars thing, if you ask me, because he handled it terrific. It was so good.
Another Latino. I didn't even think about that. You got Latinos on top of Latinos on top of Latinos in this series, and it just makes my heart so happy.
Well, you also have Deborah Chow, Asian representation there, and you got Taika Waititi, who's a person of color as well, who's going to be directing a Star Wars film.
I love it.
This show has become a training ground for any future Star Wars films because they're just showing, and that's the reason that I think Deborah Chow might be affiliated with the Obi-Wan series, or was at one point. So yeah, it's. Oh God, this is so good.
Yes. So So my favorite scene, the Indiana Jones scene. Come on, the boulder rolls down the thing and smashes the cannon thing. Oh, come on, that was it even almost did the snowball thing, right? One of them almost felt like he was going to get stuck on it like a snowball. I love that when she started kicking that thing. So I was happy when I saw Boba Fett and the slave one. I didn't quite do the dance like Christopher, but I did cheer during the boulder scene. I thought that was the best thing ever. I loved it.
So good.
Yes.
I'm surprised Christopher G. Moore's favorite scene wasn't when the slave one showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was initially what I cheered, but the really badass part is when he put on the armor.
Yes,
right after fighting like a badass. So yeah,
I mean,
it was just like pow, 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 pow. It's like an everlasting god. It's like Willy Wonka when that candy that has different meals and you're chewing it. Like, ooh, this is like appetizer.
Food.
Ooh, this is
are we doing this at dinner time? Is this dinner time?
I don't know. This satiates my eyeballs. Okay, it's a visual smorgasbord of goodness that my eyeballs just eat up, like a Starlight pit.
We have to end on that. All right, Chris, Slatman, Christopher, Vanessa, thank you for joining me. This was so much fun.
Oh man.
The best.
The force is with this series.
Yes, it is. All right.
And see that Grogu's back here because he's not with us right now. So he's in the back. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Now if we just need Boba Freak to show up in this series, I'll be even happier.
What if he's the one that trains
I was going to say that, but I didn't know if that would be too soon.
All right, please, just say goodnight. Oh, we got to say goodnight. Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Hello, I'm Boba Freak.